This is topic 4, lesson 3, problem solving, checking for reasonableness. Now, where I'm actually, instead of talking about checking for reasonableness, which we'll talk about tomorrow, part of this lesson is being able to interpret the remainder. So what I decided to do was, instead of talking about the problem solving technique of checking for reasonableness, we're going to talk about interpreting the remainder. And there are 3 different things you can do with the remainder, how to use the remainder in a word problem. And that actually is, you have to be able to do this before you can do the lesson. So kind of think of this lesson as this video is going to be kind of like one long background lesson, and in making sure that we understand there are 3 possible ways to interpret a remainder when you have a division problem and a word problem. And you can't really start checking for reasonableness unless you know what you're doing with the remainder. So, because most division problems don't work out nice and neatly, so we have to figure out what to do with the remainder. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to present you with 3 different word problems, and we're going to do them out, and then I'm going to show you the 3 different techniques for what you do with the remainder. So the first question, there are 1,853 athletes and parents signed up for a sports picnic. Each table will seat 6 people. How many tables will be needed? So to do this problem, we're going to be doing division, and we're going to be looking at a division problem of, we will have 6 people at each table. We have 1,853 people. We want to know how many people are going to go at each table. Each table sits 6 people. So we're going to divide 1,853 by 6, because we want to know how many groups of 6 can we make, right? Division is all about grouping. So we want to know how many groups of 6 we can make out of 1,853 people, because each table will have a group of 6. And so to do that, we're going to divide. So we're going to go, 6 doesn't go into 1, 6 goes into 18 3 times. Bring down the 5. 6 can't go into 5, so we're going to put a 0 here. And 6 goes into 53 8 times. Ah, so we have a remainder of 5. So what does that 5 mean? So that's what you have to start thinking about. What does that 5 mean? I have 308, so I have 308 tables, and then I have a remainder of 5. So I have 308 groups of 6, and then I have 5 left over. So what is that 5? That 5 is 5 more people. So I can't make a whole nother table. It would take 6 people to make a whole nother table. I can't make a whole nother table. But these 5 people just can't stand around right at this sports picnic. So they've got to have their own table. So we're going to have 308 tables with 6 people at them, and 1 table with 5 people. So how many tables am I going to need? I'm going to need a total of 309 tables, because these 5 people are going to have a table. They won't have a full table, but they will have a table. So that's how I'm interpreting this remainder. This 5 means I've got 5 more people left over. So in this case, my technique is to add the remainder. I'm adding 1 up there, up to the 308, to make it into 309, because that 5, those 5 people are hanging out somewhere. They've got to have a table. So they're going to get that extra table. It won't be a whole table. See, I'd have to have 6 to make a whole table. So I can't make a whole nother table. I can only make part of a table. But they still get a table, because we can't put 7 at a table, so they can't go to a different table. So we can't squeeze them in with the other 308 tables. They got to have their own table. So they're going to get, so now I add up to 309. So that's one technique. So adding the remainder is one technique with something you can do. Another one. So now we have, Eric made punch with 3 ounces of lemon juice, 32 ounces of oranges juice, whoops, sorry about that, 32 ounces of lemonade, and 64 ounces of ginger ale. How many 6-ounce servings did the punch recipe make? So to do this, we've got to do a couple of different things. First of all, we have to find out how much liquid Eric used, right? So we're going to have to start by adding up 3, 32, 32, and 64. And that should come to 3, 5, 7, 11, and 4, 10, 13. So he has a total of 131 ounces of lemonade, was it we got lemon juice, lemonade, orange juice, and ginger ale. So it's 131. So we want to know how many 6 ounces servings he can make. So we're going to do 131 divided by 6. 6 doesn't go into 1, it goes into 13 twice with 1. Okay, bring down the 1. It goes in 1 time, 5. So now again, I have a remainder of 5. So now, what does my 5 mean? It means the same thing. I've got 5 ounces of liquid left over. So I can have 21 whole 6-ounce servings, and I've got 5 ounces left over. But I can't make a whole. I want to know how many 6-ounce servings I have. So I can't use that 5 ounces of punch to make an extra 20-second serving. So I can only have 21 full servings. Then I'm going to have 1 glass with 5 ounces of punch left into it. So in this case, what we're doing is we are dropping the remainder. So our second technique is to drop the remainder. So we can add the remainder like in the first one. The second one is drop the remainder, because this 5 ounces is 5 ounces of punch, and I can't make a whole complete 6-ounce serving. So I can't have 22 servings. I can only have 21 servings. Okay. And then the third way of doing this, so now I have Mrs. Clark bought a 145-inch rope to demonstrate knot tying. She divided the rope into 4 equal pieces of equal length. I'm sorry. How long was each piece of rope? So again, I've got 145. I want to know how many pieces of 4 I can do. How many 4 pieces? How much will each length of 4 pieces be? So in this case, I'm going to divide 145. Oops. Divided by 4, and because I want to know how many equal groupings of 4 I can make. So 4 doesn't go into 1, it goes into 14 3 times. Oops, sorry. I was looking at the 5 when I did that. So 4 minus 2 is 2, and I'm going to bring down the 5, and 1. So now I have a remainder of 1. So now, what am I going to do with that? That 1 is now part of, right? Because it's part of the answer, because that 1 is a little bit. So now our pieces aren't 36 inches. They're 36 and remainder of 1. And the way we're going to interpret that 1 is, so what you can do with remainders is you can make them into fractions. And the way you make them into fractions is you take the remainder and you put it over the divisor. So we would say this is 36 and 1/4 inches. Because now this remainder 1, that's a little bit more rope. The rope isn't just exactly 36 inches. It's a little bit more than 36. It's 36 with a remainder of 1. So in this case, we are going to use the remainder. So those were our 3 techniques. You can add the remainder, like we did here. The 5 here were with 5 people hanging out that had to have a table, so we had to add an extra table in. Our second one is to drop the remainder, because this is 5 ounces of punch that I can't use. I can't make a whole serving out of. So now I can only, the answer to this one's going to be 21. And then this one, in this case, the remainder is part of the answer. We're going to use the remainder because we're taking a rope and we're dividing into equal parts. There isn't, a little bit of rope left over. That extra part is actually part of the 4 pieces. Each piece is going to be 36 and 1/4 inches long. So that is how you use a remainder. I'm not going to have you do this. This video is long enough, so I'm not going to actually have you do this. I just want you to be aware that there are 3 different things you can do with a remainder. And we'll talk more about this tomorrow when we have a lesson about problem solving and checking for reasonableness. And in that case, they're going to actually say, how do you use the remainder? But the lesson doesn't really go into this, which I think is kind of too bad. So I thought it was important that we talk about this first. So thank you for listening.